Hi, I'm glad you've chosen to visit again and to join on this session, session 5, where we're looking at verse 7 of chapter 1 of Song of Solomon. If this is the first time you've joined and listened to one of these little explorations into Song of Solomon, I do recommend that you look at session 1, which gives a full background of Song of Solomon and why we're looking at it, and just something to help set the scene for why we're looking at these verses, because we're just going to go straight into verse 7 now of chapter 1. Tell me, you whom I love, where you graze your flock and where you rest your sheep. Why should I be like a veiled woman beside the flocks of your friends? And the first thing that grabbed me about this when I saw that is she's talking about Solomon here, King Solomon, the richest, the wealthiest, the wisest man in all the world at that point. And yet she's talking about him grazing his sheep. And yet in those days, the shepherds they were the lowest of the low. That was the least job that anybody could ever do, would be to graze sheep, to look after sheep, to be a shepherd. And yet she's asking him where he grazes the sheep. And she's asking because she wants to come to be where he is. So therefore we know she wasn't talking to him about where the shepherds that he hired grazed his sheep, because she says, why should I be like a veiled woman besides the flocks of your friends? She doesn't want to just go where his friends or his employees are looking after his sheep. She's talking to him. He's a king, but she's talking to him as if he's a shepherd. And this just says again that this book is not just about Solomon and the Shulamite, the woman he's chosen to take as his bride, but it's about Jesus and the church, because Jesus is the other king that we know who's also a shepherd. And I think that's beautiful. So she asks him where he grazes his flock, and grazing is what you do when you're eating. You're eating, you're feeding yourself. Where are you feeding your flock? And I believe this is talking about teaching. What sort of teaching are you giving, Jesus? Because I want the teaching that comes direct from you, not from anybody else, but from you. Not from psychological ideas, not from theories, not from philosophies, but the teaching that comes direct from you. She's saying that she wants to know where he's grazing his flock, because she wants to be there too. She wants to eat that. And I would encourage you to see, what is Jesus saying to the church at this moment? What are his words saying? That's the bit that we need to be feeding from. We need to look at those who are growing in God. Watch the people who are growing in God and go see where they're feeding from. What are they learning from? And feed from that. Feed your spirit from the things that Jesus has provided. And she says, where do you rest your sheep at midday? This, from the beginning of time, God created the earth in 6 days, and on the 7th day he rested. He said right at the beginning that it is important to rest. And I think that is an important thing to know in this day and age, when there's so much technology around, to quicken the amount of time it takes us to do anything, to give us more time to do yet more work, and to just continue building and doing things and rushing the information that is coming at us all the time. Our concentration levels have gone down because we're being bombarded with information from every which way. But this shepherd recognizes that at midday his sheep need to rest, and midday, obviously, that is the hottest time of the day. When it gets hot, he has a place where he takes his sheep to rest. And we need to remember that it is important for us to take time to rest. The other thing about this, of course, he did work for 6 days first. We can't rest unless we're resting from something. Now that work that we're doing, it may be actual physical labor, like those of us who are gardeners or painters or maintenance and builders. People who are actually physically doing something, they need physical rest too. But there's also rest needed for the counselor, for the teacher, for those whose work is mental, for just anyone who's doing any labor or work of any sort. It can be anything. It can be caring for people. It can be pastoral. Whoever is working needs rest, and at least a full day in every 7 days needs to be given to rest. So that is something that's important. We need to remember to rest, and we know that God does ask us to work. We're not spending all the time resting, otherwise we'd have nothing to rest from. So he does expect us to do something. We have a role, we have a job, and he expects us to do that. And then she says, why should I be like a veiled woman beside the flocks of your friends? Now, at this time, the Assyrians forced respectable women or married women to wear a veil. That sounds a bit familiar at the moment, having to cover our faces. Not just the women either, the men. But at this time that they did have to cover their faces. And if you want to read that a bit further, it's almost like she's saying, why should I cover my face? Because I'm with someone who isn't you. Because when she's with him, she doesn't have to cover her face. He is her groom, and she doesn't have to cover her face in front of him. So she's saying, why should I be feeding from a place which is coming from, which is not with you? Because when I'm feeding elsewhere, I have to hide the real me. I can't be who I really am. So why should I be somewhere where I can't be who I really am when I could be with you, feeding with you, and be the person that I am? And I think this is talking about just learning to be transparent, be who we are, and we can be like that with Jesus. Why should we put ourselves in a place where we can't be who we're called to be, where we can't use the gifts that we have, where we can't show who we really are? Because we can do that with Jesus, and with the people who are feeding directly from Jesus, we can be who he has called us to be. So in just one verse, we've seen that the importance of feeding off the stuff that Jesus wants to feed the church, so that we can come to that place, we can take rest in that place, we can be fed in that place so that we can go out and continue working, and we can be who we're really called to be. You know, we actually, apart from the masks that we have to wear at the moment because of COVID, we all wear other masks. We wear masks that hide who we really are because we think somebody expects us to be something else. We wear the mask of the mother, or the mask of the dutiful daughter, or the mask of the employee, or the mask of the sister, the mask of the church member, and we put on these masks that hide who we really are because we think that we're supposed to be whatever that mask shows, and we hide behind everything's great. We hide behind I'm confident, I'm comfortable where I am. Or sometimes we hide behind I live the worst life ever, nobody ever cares about me, and we hide behind a mask that looks at the negative. Because not only can we think we're the best, we can also think we're the worst. And that just reminds me about how someone once said that comparing ourselves to someone else is just a pointless exercise, because you either look at somebody else and see that you're better, you're more superior than them because you wouldn't do things the way they're doing and you know the right way to do it. And that, of course, is sin, to think of yourself as better than someone else. But if we're not looking at somebody, comparing ourselves and feeling superior to them, then we're looking at them, comparing ourselves and feeling worse than them because they do more than us, they remember the Bible more, they're a better parent, they're a better artist, they're a better singer, they've got a better figure, they are more masculine, or whatever it is. We look at others and we either feel better than them or worse than them. Neither of them are good, neither of them are right, because actually we're all equal in the eyes of God. Did you know that's incredible? That you're equal to Billy Graham, you're equal to John the Baptist, in the sense that we're all loved by God the same amount. He can't love anyone any more than another. And so the masks that we wear, or that we may be forced to wear by other people who want us to be a certain way, they want us to be happy all the time and not show our pain, or they want us, I don't know, I can't think of anything at the moment, but we shouldn't be wearing those masks. And when we come with him, when we're with Jesus, we don't need to wear a mask. So I'll leave you with that thought. Where is he feeding his flock? Where is he resting his sheep? You don't need to wear a mask when you're with him. So why don't you take your mask off? Go put some worship music on from your favourite worship band or favourite song or hymn, and take your mask off. Just be the real you and allow yourself to be loved by him and ask him to feed you something from his word that will feed your spirit and make you strong and help you carry on till the next day. Oh, I hope you'll join me again when we move on to verse 8, where she's told, "If you do not know, most beautiful women, follow the tracks of the sheep and graze your young goats by the tents of the shepherds." And what can we get from that verse? I hope you'll join me next time. Bye now.